Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name's Steve and my co-host is Pete.
Good evening.
This episode we're talking about the 1988 film Bloodsport, starring Jean Claude Van Damme as Frank Dux.
It's Dukes, like put up your Dukes.
Oh yes, of course.
I like to think that tonight I am the Jackson to your Frank Dukes.
Hang on, I should be the Jackson. I'm the taller, larger man.
Well, I'm the more incompetent and
more flexible
and likely to end up in hospital.
So this was your choice, I believe.
You can tell from the tone of your voice that it's my choice. Bloodsport.
So, just so we're clear, this was Pete's choice. I just want to get out there in front.
It's about time we watched another Canon Group film after the success that was Cobra.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is directed by Newt Arnold. Yeah. What a name.
He hasn't directed many films. He's been an assistant director on a lot of quite big films, actually. But he's only directed 3 films. This was his last film that he directed, sadly.
Passed away in 2000, I think.
It is a great name.
Fantastic name. So he did Last Action Heroes, that he was the first assistant AD.
He was the first assistant director on quite a lot of films as well. Yes.
Alien Nation, The Goonies, he was the first AD, second unit. So he's, Blade Runner as well. Wow.
See?
So this guy's worked with a lot of the, really famous directors. He was there with them.
And he brought everything he learnt and put it on the screen.
Yes.
I already think our scores are going to be wildly apart. Wildly apart.
Wait and see, Ducks. Wait and see.
The Dukes. So, it co-stars Donald Gibb as Jackson, a large man with a beard who has been in hardly any other films. But it also, of course, co-stars an Oscar winner.
Oscar winner. Oh, Forrest Whitaker.
Yes. I like to think that Van Damme and Bolo Young gave him some coaching in his acting, and that's what led him to win an Oscar.
Yeah. But Donald Gibb has been in 100 things.
Has he?
Oh, come on, he's been in everything.
Has he?
Yes. Anytime there's a large man, anytime there's some kind of thug, anytime there's biker required, he's been in it. From TV to every film, from Boy Meets World to US Marshals the movie to...
He was in Hancock, where he played convict.
Yeah, you see? So he's done all sorts. Whenever there's a large man, because apparently he's a 6'4" large man.
I take it back. He's in Bloodsport 2 as Ray Tiny Jackson. He got a nickname for the sequel. I haven't actually seen the sequel.
I didn't know there was a sequel. Okay.
It doesn't have Mr. Van Damme in it. I didn't watch the Kickboxer or Bloodsport sequels that has a severe lack of muscles from Brussels.
Yeah. Oh, he played Angry Prisoner in the video game Mafia 2. So he's a jobbing actor. He's been working all the way back to scrolling down his IMDb, 1980.
Okay.
He's been working.
Is he the American Sven Ole Thorsen?
I think so. He was in Conan the Barbarian, uncredited, but he was in it.
Well, and Bolo Young is in this, who I always thought was about 60 when this film was made, but apparently he was 42.
Wow!
So I have 1 year to get my physique.
To get those 6 packs of that out.
He's got more than 6 packs. He's got about 15. But, of course, he can't have been very old when he was in Enter the Dragon.
No.
I guess.
No.
14 years before? 14 years earlier? No.
He's still making things, though. Bolo Young, it says, according to his IMDb page. He took a 7-year break, and before that he took like a 9-year break.
He's quite small now.
Small?
Relatively. Yeah. You know, you can't bodybuild forever.
Oh, okay.
He began martial arts at age 10 and was known as the Chinese Hercules.
I can see why, given that he's really quite broad. He's, it's quite a big fella.
When I look through his list of films, it's all the films that I know we'll never get to. There's this level of film that I don't know if you're as keen on, but there's another level below that of things like Tiger Claws and Tiger Claws 2, which I have seen, and Shoot Fighter and
Way the Dragon 2.
TC 2000. Films I have seen that I'm sure you will not want to see. But
Black Belt Jones 2. Oh, look at that.
He's in another Van Damme film, though. Do you know which one it is?
No.
Double Impact.
Ah, okay.
With the twins.
Wow, Jim Kelly, Black Belt Jones 2. He was in that as well. Oh, one for Barry there.
Indeed.
So, we've probably talked about this film.
We should, really. So, this is it's based on a true story, or loosely, or...
Yeah,
but hey, look, I read an article.
So how much is true then?
Well,
do you know anything?
When this came out, how old would I have been? Not very old. Teenager. I used to read Martial Arts Illustrated magazine, despite not doing any martial arts. I thought, if I read about it, that's enough. And Combat magazine. Combat magazine was a magazine all about kind of Hong Kong action films, edited by a guy called Bay Logan, who's gone on to be a director. And how do I remember these things? Who knows? In there, they were kind of refuting whether it was true. But I read an article in a broadsheet paper literally about a month ago about him and his life, saying it was all true. So, and I don't know. Like any of these biopics, it's not going to be... and if the person advising the film is the person themselves, it's always going to be a little bit probably more positive. But apparently his fight record, which we'll mention at the end, I guess, his fight record is apparently true.
Okay, right. So, the film tells the story of Frank
Flippy Dukes.
Dukes, who, I like the fact that they don't pretend that he's anything other than... they don't claim that he's English or he's a straight American.
He's Belgian.
Yes, they actually just say that that's what he was. His parents moved to America. He's living in America. The guy who trains him has come from Japan.
I'm assuming Frank Dukes himself is Belgian. That's quite. It's quite fortunate for Jean Claude Van Damme that there was a martial artist from Belgium who'd gone on to win loads of things that he could be.
I don't think he was.
You don't think he was?
He's probably just an American.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, but they don't kind of hide that. They just sort of say,
yeah, that's true.
This is who he is in America, and it's quite a sort of nice melting pot thing. They're just both saying, we're all living here, but we're all Americans, and so his teacher has come to from Japan for a new life in America with a new family, Mr. Tanaka.
And do you recognise that actor?
No, not without looking up.
Roy Chow, who was also in Temple of Doom and in Game of Death.
Ah, right. Okay. Wow.
But I think even before we see him and his trainer, what I like about this film, because it knows its audience, it knows what it's about, is it starts off straight away with people training for the Kumite, which is the martial arts competition, with no holds barred. And you see Bolo Young smashing some ice.
Yes. Not quite sure why, but, it's fun to do on a hot day.
You then see another very well-known, within the realms of Van Damme person, Michelle Queasy, who played Tung Po in Kickboxer and was also in AWOL and was kind of Van Damme's sparring partner.
Really? Okay.
So I guess he is the real kind of Sven-Ole Thorsen of the Van Damme world. And then you also get the producer of this film, who also produced Kickboxer, a guy called Mark DeSalle, who appears early in the film, asking Jackson if he's going to Hong Kong.
Right. Okay.
And he goes, "So are you going to go to Hong Kong?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "No, that's the competition where you die. Only if you fuck up." It's his reply.
Wow, okay.
You see the early incidental character, the guy that sweeps the floor, who later has an interesting part to play.
Oh, yes, with the tooth.
Yeah, but that's why one of the things I like about this film is that every incidental character, it's for a kind of low budget B movie, I just like the way all the incidental characters get something to do.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny at times as well.
Mm.
But yeah, so he's, as you say, he's trained by a Japanese gentleman. It also features possibly the worst actor ever to appear on film, which is the young man playing a teenage Van Damme, who I don't think ever worked again. Do we know of any young actors in Hollywood that are Belgian? We don't. Okay. You, boy.
Pretend you're Belgian. I don't know what that is. Just have a go.
In fact, his accent is so strong. But it's, It's baseball.
I don't know. It's awful. It's pretty awful.
And he has, I checked his IMDb, he's never appeared on the silver screen again. So, Frank Dukes leaves the military.
Goes AWOL, really, doesn't it? Because they're after him.
It's an old clever trick. I don't know why no one else has thought of it. You put the shower on.
Yeah.
And you tell someone to wait while you have a shower. Then you just do one. Get out of there. And they don't find you.
No.
Yes, the military. Incompetent in this film.
Very much so.
To hilarious means later. So he goes to visit an old lady, and we get a flashback to the fact that he wasn't bad. This is the bit I wonder if it's a bit of poetic license. I wonder if he actually had broken in to steal stuff. However, in the film version, his friends had goaded him into breaking in, and he was actually putting the katana sword back. It
was the worst. This is the ultimate of all flashbacks. And do you know what's weird about it is that it keeps flashing back to the present, and he keeps seeing Jean Claude stare, and then it goes back into the past, then it goes back to when he's still staring. I'm like, okay, we get it. Stop doing it. Just stop it.
Yeah, because you almost want to kind of suspend your disbelief and go, it's been a couple of seconds in real time, but you can go back, 20 minutes. But if he's just standing there staring into space for 20 minutes. But there's some good acting, I still think Van Damme is underrated. There's some moments there where he's staring into space, and his furrowed brow, you can see that he's upset.
Thinking. Yeah. So we see that he was a young scamp of a lad, Jack the lad, who meets Mr. Tanaka and his young son, who. He doesn't. That's right. Mr. Tanaka basically tries to scare him by cutting off the
peak of his cap.
Peak of his cap, and he doesn't flinch. And he goes,
Got the fighting spirit.
Yes, apparently, as opposed to too shit scared to move, and he just froze.
And then I think the son isn't that much better an actor, really. And
he's awful.
Why don't you quit, round eye?
Yeah. It's one of the best insults I've heard in this film.
So he's teaching them both in theory, but he's actually using Frank Dukes as a punch bag, really, for his son.
Yes,
Until, by watching, he somehow learns by osmosis, and then this is a great moment, and then possibly the worst moment in the film, is that the boy has been beaten up in school. I'm not sure why he's been beaten up in school, because he's been trained by his dad every day for years. He should have been able to handle himself by now. But he's been beaten up by a gang of youths, and then Frank Dukes gives him a punching, and then they just make friends by the lamest handshake in cinema history.
Yeah, and those flashback scenes with the kids are awful.
And then the son just goes, "Someday I'll fight in the kumite and make my father proud." You might as well have gone, plot point.
You could have just said, one day I'm gonna grow up to be a doctor, or invent a cure for cancer, or be a great scientist, or so. No, I'm gonna grow up and beat the shit out of people. That'll make my dad proud.
But then he went to war.
Oh,
and he died.
Is that how he died?
I think he died in Vietnam.
Oh, okay, I didn't get that. I just saw that he was dead and they were mourning him, but I thought, well, how did he die? Did he get an illness? Did he fall over? Did he fall down the well? What was it?
Did he watch his performance back and die of shock?
What was it that tipped him over the edge?
Even at the time, I remember these flashbacks with the kind of soft-edged vignette and bad acting, feeling like a school play. But I think now, it's even more noticeable.
That's being kind to school play, I think, It's that bad.
It is that bad. But it gives you something as a contrast for the excellence of the rest of the film. So, he doesn't want to train him anymore, and this is the bit where you see Van Damme's perm, which only appears in one scene.
Yeah, that's weird. It's just, very weird.
In order to tell this flashback, you have to perm your hair. And to honour you, Shidoshi, I want you to keep training me, keep the 2,000-year tradition alive. So,
father to son.
I'm not sure that you're buying into all of this.
Given the kind of Benny Hill scene later on, I'm taking this film very much tongue in cheek.
Okay.
I'm taking it with this tongue in cheek that deserves.
Then there's a montage. There's a lot of montages in this film.
A lot,
but this is a staple montage of the trainer beating you up. You get better. You catch a fish. You lift yourself up. You serve a meal with a blindfold on. It's all the staple martial arts training montage elements, and crazy splits with ropes.
Yeah. So it's all, relatively stuff that we've not seen before. Yeah. And then we come to this scene where essentially he tortures Jean Claude Van Damme. Let's not pretend that it's training. He ties him cross-leg, all four of his limbs to trees, and then pulls them apart.
To make his legs stronger.
To what? How's that going to help him?
And make his legs stronger. But he manages to pull himself up and he pulls them off the trees.
Yes! He blocks out the pain. That's what it's all about, apparently.
Yes, and then it fast forwards to now. Well, it doesn't fast forward. It goes back through Jean Claude Van Damme's starey face.
Starey eyes.
And we see he's gone to see Mr. Tanaka.
Yes.
Which I think is an anagram of katana. So he's an anagram of his own sword.
Ooh.
Which is...
weird.
Makes me think it may not be true. It may have just been a typo. And he has a funny line. I think in this film, for some reason, from a script point of view, everyone gets to say something funny, because he goes to see Mr. Tanaka and goes, "Are you asleep?" And he goes, "Do you sleep with your eyes open?"
That's true.
It's like, it doesn't need this level of sarcasm. But then he agrees that, yes, you can go to Hong Kong, you can fight in the Kumite in my name, and when you fight, my spirit fights with you. Which is kind of cheating, because that's two people.
Two in one. Hang on, that's the guy's cheating.
Chung Lee, look.
Spirit guide.
So,
come on.
Now, Hong Kong is obviously a very, 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 very small place, the size of maybe a stamp.
Right.
Because he arrives in Hong Kong and gets on the same bus as Jackson. I know they're going to the same place. Same place. But you get to see what Jackson's like. He's got his Harley top on, his baseball cap, and he's hitting on the ladies.
He is, but he's not actually a complete dick, which is... So I've been a while since I've seen this, and I thought he's going to be just an annoying numpty. Yeah. And then they get to the hotel and they start chatting, and he's having a go on the arcade game, which I remember that arcade game. Do you?
I do.
The karate game.
I do.
And he says to, Frank, "Oh, do you want to play?" And he goes, yeah. And so he has to go, and he beats Jackson. And he goes, "All right, let's have a go again." He beats me. And now, if it was a different film, at that point, Jackson would have gone, "Yeah, well, I'll show you in real life." And he would pick up Jean Claude and throw him out a window, and then they'd be enemies.
It's true.
But in this case, he just kind of goes,
cool. Yeah, cool.
Good, right, well done. And then go and have a beer, basically. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, it is. I do like that about it. There is no kind of side to it. I think apart from the actual villain, everyone else is quite nice.
Apart from Hassan.
That's true. That's true, yes.
He's a bit of a numpty.
And you've got the lady journalist who's also permed. She's trying to get the exclusive scoop. That feels like the maybe it didn't happen bit to me.
Yes. Do you actually know what the actress's name is?
No, I did. I did know this yesterday, and I didn't.
Hang on. It's a character called Janice.
Yes.
Lee Ayres is an actress.
She's not, and she's now, I do know this bit, she now is a children's yoga promoter.
Ooh. Okay. As you do.
She was in The Player.
Player?
Sliders. She's in an episode of Sliders.
Oh, okay. So she's done some stuff.
Yeah, bits and bobs.
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to say she's in the A-Team and Crazy Like a Fox, but like everyone we ever talk about in the 80s were in those shows. And we get to see Forrest Whitaker and Norman Burton, another kind of actor that's been in lots of things, for the first time. And their dynamic is very much Forrest Whitaker is Rawlins. He's over keen and pushy cop who just wants to, or military. I think they're military.
Get stuff done. Yeah.
And then Norman Burton's much more by the book. So
yeah.
And you missed it. There was a good line. There's another couple of good lines during the computer game bit.
Right.
Aren't you a little young for full contact? Aren't you too old for computer games?
Well, given that they're both playing it, that kind of tells him something about it, I think. But no, I like the fact that they didn't make him just to be really brash and loud and annoying and then set them up as enemies. They could have easily done that.
Could, I think, or just if they made him brash, but like taking it further, he would have basically been the brother in Kickboxer. Because the brother in Kickboxer is a bit of a knob.
Or they would have made him like, Hossein character, where he's actually a sexist and a drunk and a this and a that, and they don't. They just kind of leave it like that, and they go, oh, okay, and they just get on together, which is quite good.
And we get to see my favourite character at this point.
Go on.
Victor Lin.
Oh yes, this is their contact who's going to arrange to help them not get lost, man. Yeah, well, so you don't get into trouble, man.
Well, to me, I thought this is, again at the time, I found this very funny. I watched it again last night, which it may be about the 30th time I see this film, but there we are. And I still find it very funny. But I looked him up, thought, he must be in lots of different things. He's been in about 4 things as an actor. He's actually a second assistant director or a first assistant director. He was on Kickboxer, Rush Hour, Spitfire, Forbidden Kingdom. It basically seems to be if US films film in Hong Kong, then he tends to be part of the crew.
Oh right, okay.
But he's appeared in a few things. So, but I just like the way he's written. You're Jackson. You look like a Jackson.
What's that mean?
I don't know. I like to think that his whole part was ad-libbed. I think that would make it much better.
It would.
And he did what you said. He said, you're Frank Dux. He said, no, Dukes. Oh, yeah, put up your Dukes.
Oh, yeah.
He's the IFFA liaison for North Americans. That's his job. Which it does. I do think when it's a fight where you can fight to the death, I'm surprised there is an official body, but I'm guessing that's true. And you
need a liaison.
He does a little bit of exposition here by telling them the rules, which are don't get disqualified by fighting outside the arena.
Yes, he's there to basically keep them on the straight and narrow.
And he takes them for a walk. Jean Claude cracks out his leather blouse on for the first time.
Leather blouse?
Blouse on. I think it's like a jackety blouse. I think it's blouse on. It's like a leather jacket with I don't know.
Okay, it's a blouse.
Anyone else is wearing it's a blouse on. And then he tells them, you've not heard of a blousin?
No.
Okay. But it's a type of leather jacket from the 80s. It looks slightly feminine.
That's why it's called a blouse on there.
Blouse on. So he tells them that where they're going is an invisible border to mainland China. So although they're in Hong Kong. And then he says, it's time to protect your nuts, guys. And then you get the best line of the film.
I know what you're going to say. Okay, USA. I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
It's a classic moment. He puts his thumb up, and then Jackson does it back to him.
Yeah, I know.
And then,
I just thought, okay.
And then a very, very long sequence going down a corridor for ages. They're going between the buildings, and that seemed to go on for a long time. It's not a very long film. It's under an hour and a half, so it doesn't go on for very long. But
they're talking about the fact that there's the Hong Kong that everyone else sees, and then they cross an invisible line, and they're in mainland China. And this is the real Hong Kong, and you don't, you hang on to your nuts, because apparently they steal your nuts in the old Hong Kong.
True, which is a shame, really.
Squirrels never go there. Never.
It's true. So he shows you got to show your invitation, and then prove you can survive by qualifying. So an invitation is not enough.
Yeah, which is a bit
Well, it was
weird.
I think it was during the time of the rise of the photocopier.
This is it.
It's like,
you're going to sneak in. Well, yeah, I'll take that. What is it? Competition to the death. Oh,
but here, you meet cool beardy guy and cool moustache guy.
They're the brothers. They're the brothers who run it, apparently. Yeah, you have to impress them, he says.
He says Tanaka is Ishidoshi. You don't look like Tanaka. And then, again, Lynn gets another great line.
Go on.
What's the difference if Bruce Springsteen is Ishidoshi? I thought he was going to say Bruce Lee. Every time I watch this film, I think he's going to say Bruce Lee, but no, he says Bruce Springsteen.
I heard him say something. I wasn't sure what he said. I thought, I'll leave it. Just carry on.
Having looked on some various action movie forums last night for some background, and
yeah,
I think it is because people kept... I found a site that was what everyone in Bloodsport looked like then and what they look like now. And every time anyone asked a question, someone put, "Where's Bruce Springsteen?" So I think that's what it was.
Okay.
And then they ask him to show them Dim Mac.
Yeah, now, is this the death touch or deft touch?
Do you know what? Now you're saying it, deft touch sounds more sensible because he doesn't kill anyone, spoiler, and what he does is very deft.
So that's what puzzled me. I thought, so you teach someone the death touch and they kill you. That's pretty bad. Or it's a deft touch, so you've got great skill.
Which makes sense. It's like a soft mouth it's like a gun dog, isn't it, with a soft mouth?
I don't know.
Okay. No, that is. Dim Mac. Touch of death. It says deft, but this could. No, it says deft. No, see, someone else here says deft touch. I think it's. Having the same questions.
Anyway, so he has to, because he's not obviously related to Tanaka, he has to prove that somehow he knows what he's talking about, and they say, break brick, and he goes, pick a brick, and top one, and he goes, no, bottom one. Good. And Jean Claude shows off his skills by smacking the top brick and yet only breaking the bottom one.
Yeah, by sending the pressure down, I guess.
I was going to say just magic. That's what I was going with.
It could be magic.
It was magic touch. They learned.
Very good. Brick not hit back. Says John Lee. So John Lee.
That's his first line.
That's his first line. John Lee, played by Bolo Young. He doesn't look as big in this as I remember.
No? I thought he was pretty big.
Still pretty big, but, you know. Then the military police, none of this makes much sense. They go to see who's credited on IMDb as Captain Chen, but they call him Inspector, so Inspector Chen. And did you recognise him?
No.
I say he's been on the show before. He's been mentioned on the show before.
Been on the show before? Has he?
That's Philip Chan. He's in Hard Boiled. He's the head of the police in Hard Boiled.
Oh, okay.
And he's also been in Double Impact and Police Story 3. So Double Impact sounds like it was a big reunion, really.
Wow.
People from this.
Wow.
I put here, Hussein is an arsehole.
Yes, this is where in the bar he says to the reporter, you come with me. And she doesn't really want to. And he's like, you come with me. And so Jean Claude jumps in to...
leave the girl alone.
Yes. But they don't want to fight, you see, because they can't, because they both get kicked out of the competition. And that was the end of it. So Jean Claude tricks him with a game. Challenges him with a game.
American asshole. It's not actually.
That's not the game. That's not the game.
Yeah, that's a totally different game, which we can't discuss here. Yes, he's got. Is it a coin in his hand?
Yes. So he puts the silver coin in, Hussein's hand and says, if I can grab it out of your hand before you can close it, then, I'll leave her alone, or otherwise...
I get her. I think he said I get her.
Yeah. And he thinks he's done it, and yet when he opens his hand, he's got a gold coin in his hand. Ooh, because he's so quick. And it flashes back, just in case you've forgotten, to him pulling a fish out of the pond.
Which is not the same as a coin.
One moves and one doesn't. But anyway, yes, that's what it's about.
So and he goes for a walk with the lady, and it's starting to head in the direction that you think it might. Will you talk to me about the committee? I will talk to you. as long as you go for dinner with me. Now, it's a bit naughty, really, because later he tells her he won't tell her anything. So he kind of tricked her a little bit. So back in the room, he's doing the splits, and Jackson is trying to tell him it's the start of the tournament.
Yes.
And he can't hear him because he's in a trance.
Yes, he's meditating.
Yes.
He's meditating. Yeah.
And then what I like with this film as well is it, having watched it again, it's very straightforward plot-wise. You know where it's going, but I kind of like that. There's no pretense of maybe Frank is not as good. It's basically the two best people. You know who's going to be in the final from a story point of view, but you also know when you see them fight, he's not like someone getting rapidly better. He's just very good because of who's trained him, which I quite like. I think that's quite different.
But you get to see lots of different fighters.
You do.
Here.
There's a big montage, and I started ticking off what the other films they'd all been in as well. So there's a guy. Paco is one of the characters I really like.
That's one I wanted to point out. Who had this stupidest style of fighting.
It's kind of Muay Thai kind of thing, but cross.
The actor is called Paulo Toca.
Yeah, he's been in. I think he's in Death Warrant and AWOL. He's been in quite a few Van Damme films.
But his style is so weird. It's okay, not as strange as the man who rolls around on the floor like a chimpanzee.
That's true.
His is the weirdest, but Paco's was just quite irritating, I thought.
I like Paco.
Okay, moving on. So we get to see all these different styles, and we get to see the first match, don't we?
We do, and we find out it's the Black Dragon Society, and this is every 5 years. So it's one time less than the Olympics or the World Cup. And then you get the rules again, which is you've got to knock them out, they've got to quit, which is quite important later, or you've got to pull them off the runway. And then there's probably the cheesiest moment in quite a cheesy film, which is when Jackson turns around and goes, "That's why they call this thing Bloodsport, kid."
And cue name of film insert. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
The first match is Michelle Queasy that I mentioned, who's Tung Po in Kickboxer. He plays a character called Susan Parades.
Susan Parades?
Yes, I think it's Susan Parades. It's probably not pronounced that way.
Okay.
Suan. So there's no S.
There we go. It's not Susan Parades.
Susan Parades. Susan Parades is on the runway.
Okay. It's on the runway. It's not a model.
You see Susan Parades could be a model. You see Jackson do his first fight.
Yes, which is kind of typical for his style, really. You've got all these guys doing great martial arts and stuff, and this guy hits him a couple of times, makes him angry, and he punches him and knocks the guy out of the ring. Almost like
a reverse uppercut, whatever the top, and over a haymaker, I think.
Haymaker, really.
Yeah, on top of his head. But then he starts threatening Chung Lee. Now, it suggests that the man may be not very bright at doing that. But it's a very heightened American, isn't it? It's like cocky.
Yeah.
Thing. You see Chun Li's fight. You find out that he's the current champion and he's done the fastest ever kill. And his fight is over in seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal and nasty. And here's where I thought it became more of a panto, because, it gets quite Benny Hill at one point later on.
And in the end fight, at one point, he is behind you.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. He's quite a stoic character, doesn't really say much at all, doesn't show much emotion, except for kind of disdain for his opponents, until the moment he wins a fight.
Yeah.
Then he prances around the mat with his arms raised.
Yeah.
Grinning and pretty much skipping, and I just thought,
I think that's just what
is he on crack or something?
I just think that's what makes him happy.
Winning.
Yeah. And in a twist of fate / scripted.
What are you saying?
It's a true story. Frank Dukes' first opponent is Hussein.
Oh, what a twist! Never saw that coming.
Beats him so quickly, he gets the new world record.
Yes, it was 14 seconds for Chun-Li Bo-Young, and then Frank Dukes beats it. It's 12 seconds.
Yes, and Jackson's very pleased.
Yes, but Bolo is not impressed. Chun-Li's not
And then
impressed.
the sweeper, the man who does sweeping the floor, goes and steals the gold tooth.
Yeah, that's comedy. It's comedy gold.
And then we have a long fighting montage to get us through the whole of the first and second round, I think. And do you recognise the singer of the music in this section? Barry would know this.
Go on.
Stan Bush.
Okay.
You don't know who Stan Bush is?
No, sorry.
Oh, Stephen, we have so much to teach you.
Go on, who is he?
Hang on, he's not related to George W. Bush, thankfully.
Okay.
He did The Touch and Dare from the Transformers movie.
Oh, as in The Touch?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad he got better after this.
That was before this. That was 1986, this is 1988. You are bad.
Was it? Oh, so he peaked with
You're
The Touch.
a bad man. I have this sound. Bad man. I've sent you the soundtrack. You're a bad
I know, I haven't listened.
Bad man. He does Fight to Survive, which it blends the mystical oriental sounds, the chanting of the word kumite, with soft rock vocals. What more could you ask for? Okay.
Anyway, so, then what happens?
Forrest Whitaker eats food.
Yeah, they go to this restaurant and he really loves it and he's picking all the food. The other guy's just not really impressed. And then they make fun of the food because even the dog won't eat it.
But then even the policeman goes, I don't eat here. You should have ordered forks.
Yeah, that just tells you something. The fact that the policeman just kind of goes, yeah, even I don't eat here.
Did that, otherwise it just was a very racist scene. Otherwise, I think
so.
So he tells them where Dukes is staying.
Yeah,
and then they go to arrest him. And this then leads you to the Benny Hill scene, I believe that you're alluding to.
Yeah, it goes totally over the top, where they chase him out of the hotel.
And then the tasers.
Yeah, they threaten Jackson, saying, "Do you want 50,000 volts? Do you? Do stay out of it." And then they leave him alone, and they all run off. And then the two policemen chase him round the streets to the point where he hides around one side of a car. They run around, and he runs back around the other side. Thinking, come on.
This whole scene felt like they were trying to be Jackie Chan. Because that kind of blending of comedy and silent movie things. He wears a yellow jacket, so he's easy to see. And it does feel like a very short Hong Kong tourism video. Yeah. But it features another great song, Steal the Night by Michael Bishop. Come on.
Yeah, that well-known.
I think it's Harold Bishop's son. I'm not sure.
So it just gets really stupid because he runs across a line of boats, and you just know what's going to happen. And then they fall in, and he bounces off, and then gets in and runs off again and waves at them as he goes. I just thought, okay, now it's proper Benny Hill.
The other 29 times I've seen this film.
29?
And I wish I was joking. This was a weekend thing. Bloodsport and kickboxing every weekend for years.
We didn't have much to do in the 80s.
Did not endorse it, no.
We had nothing to do. There was nothing on television.
Without shadow puppets.
There was no internet. Remember that, kids?
Yeah.
No internet.
Exactly.
No.
The world was black and white. Is that I never thought of it before, but basically they still know where he's staying. So why don't they go and get him? Because
he doesn't go back to his hotel because he's clever.
But he does at some point.
Briefly, but only very briefly.
Oh, is that why he sleeps with the lady?
No, because he wants to sleep with the lady.
Clever. Not only am I not being arrested, I'm also making love.
Yes.
But I do think this is, again, from watching it again, more enlightened times, he goes there, they go for a meal. She wants to go to Kumite. He kind of says, oh, maybe. Let's go out in the morning over breakfast. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Then they wake up in bed and then you have the obligatory Jean Claude Van Damme arse shot of just him putting his pants on.
But they do skip past the whole the whole scene in the night. There's just them kissing and then her waking up in bed the next morning. You don't even get a curtain blowing in the breeze. Nothing.
You do that. And you do get curtains blowing in a lot of Van Damme's later films with the ladies.
Yeah, but yes, we see his arse.
And then he turns around and goes, you know, I said I could get you to the Kumite. Yeah, I can't do that. And she goes, oh, don't mind. Never mind. I just thought, it was, yeah.
He used her and she doesn't seem to mind.
I know. So he turns up for day 2 of the Kumite, and he's in trouble for being late.
Very late, yes. Nearly kicked him out at one point.
But then Jackson does the brick trick.
Yes, he does. Badly. He breaks the top brick, and he didn't break the bottom one, and then he picks up another one and smashes it on his head. He goes, yeah, there you go, for you, and gives it to Mustache Man.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then there's a high-rolling gambler who's he got?
He's really annoying, that guy. You feel good? You feel good today? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Okay, you're my guy. Yeah.
And then, and who's he got with him?
Ooh,
it's the journalist.
Cover, she snuck in. She's so clever.
And that's a bit. She goes, I've done something about being undercover, which I think was alluding to his actual covers.
Is that?
I think she said, I've done worse things to get under. I don't remember. But
she said she's been undercover before.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just lost my place, and all I could see was punching the knackers. I assume that was in a minute.
Dukes versus the Giant.
It is. Who is like a sumo guy.
Yeah, who Dukes tries to punch him a few times and nothing really happens, and the guy just keeps walloping him, and nothing happens, and then he's nearly kind of crushed by a bear hug by this guy. He headbutts him a few times, drops the floor, and then punches him really hard in the testicles.
He does. But he shows mercy, apart from... I think I put here he shows mercy to his opponents, but I don't think punching someone in the testicles is particularly merciful.
Not really.
He does get to do some... He does a nice big roundhouse and some slow-mo moments. And, in amongst this, we see Chung Lee breaking Susan Parade's leg.
Susan Parade. Yes, another of his opponents.
Yes. So you just start to realise that these two are quite a lot better than everyone else.
Yeah, but then they come to the awful moment of Chun-Li versus Jackson. And
you can, again, I've seen it many times. I knew what was happening. This was 57 minutes into the film, I believe. I remember watching it, you go, I've seen it before, but I've got this horrible impending sense of doom here.
It's not going to end well. I thought it might be the full Apollo Creed from Thor, that he's going to punch him once and kill him. But he doesn't. It seems to be at first that Jackson's going to win.
Well, he gets a warning first. Like Dukes tells him he's weak in the gut, stay away from his right leg. And he's not really, but he gets the upper hand. But then he starts running around with his arms in the air.
But Jackson gets a great line because he goes, "You sound like my mother."
Yes, that's true. I like to meet Jackson's mother.
Yeah, she rock. So he seems to have won, and then he decides to prance around, and Chun-Li gets up, basically.
And he gets absolutely annihilated.
Yeah.
Pummeled into the ground.
And you think he's dead, because he's not moving.
And he's taking his bandana and starts waving it in Dukes' face.
Yeah.
And he's in hospital with a head injury.
Luckily, your head is so thick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be dead. Essentially, is what they say.
That's true. And I think then Lynn is kind of telling him to not focus on revenge and to keep Janet at a distance and just to concentrate on his fighting, because he could be the first Westerner ever to win the tournament. But then Janice goes to see the inspector and asks them to stop the Kumite.
Yes, because she's worried. She's now watched a day of the event, and she's seen how brutal it is. She saw Janet get his leg broken. Susan get a leg broken. She's really worried that old Frank's going to die. And so they're all kind of pretending it's not happening, the police, but they blatantly know. And so she wants it to stop and all the rest of it.
So then, in order to sort his head out and work out where he's going, Frank goes on a bus.
Yeah.
One of my favourite scenes in the film, it has the song On My Own, also by Stan Bush. And he's staring into space. Every now and then he imagines Chung Lee sat on the bus, but he's not really there. And then he imagines being trained. It's another one of the montages where he stares into space, but this time he's staring into space on a moving vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with him doing a montage, or it ends with him doing the splits overlooking the city of Hong Kong on his balcony.
Wow. Yeah. Like a mini training montage.
Yeah. And he's heading back into the commute, which is what my preemptive text thinks the Kumite is called. Back into the commute for the final day.
That's a busy day for work. Better get into the commute. The what?
The fatal commute. And the two police and the inspector are there to stop him.
But he just keeps saying to them, I'll see you tonight or tomorrow at the airport. I'll be there at the airport. And they just basically let him go, really.
Yeah, the inspector goes to shoot him and they stop him and then they kind of let him go and they go in to watch.
Yeah, she says, let's go and watch it because that'll be fun. So they go in to watch the final day.
They do.
So I've written down here, Chun-Li goes mental.
When's that?
So he fights another guy.
It's Paco, isn't it? No,
it's not Paco.
No,
so Chun-Li fights...
Frank beats Paco.
And then Chun-Li fights this other dude.
Yeah, but they both go a little bit more, because Frank is obviously angry about something to Jackson, so when he fights Paco, he's a lot more psyched up and he starts doing his stuff that he does.
And he encourages Paco to kick him, and then he'll kick Paco, and he'll kick him, and he'll just keep doing that until eventually he just kicks the shit out of Paco.
It's a massive roundhouse.
Yeah. But Chun-Li goes mental, so he's fighting this guy who's blatantly outclassed, and for no particular reason, kills him.
Yeah, just
no reason.
No.
And then he goes berserk, prancing around, whee, with his arms in the air, whee, wee, wee,
and I like
just looking.
The referee is another good incidental character, because he, all the way through, is kind of disgusted by his behaviour, and he doesn't honour the place, and they all kind of turn their back on him, and they're not chanting his name anymore, so the crowd is starting to turn.
And they all kind of face towards the main podium and bow because someone's died and they're honouring him. And Chun-Li doesn't like it and he's just still prancing around and no one's watching him. And then he kind of goes, meh, whatever, and walks off. So he has no respect for any of it, really. He just wants the adoration of the crowds, and when they don't give it to him, he goes off in a huff.
Just goes, you are next. You break my record, now I break you like I break your friend.
And he's showing him his... bandana they're still carrying around.
So there's 15 minutes left in the film, I think, at this point, and it's the final, which seems to come along very quickly. Which means it can be quite long. And Chun-Li is wearing Jackson's bandana around his knee.
Yes, he's wearing shorts this time for the first time ever. And it's rather a weird little scene just before they go in the ring that, to begin with, I thought I was watching another film.
Kind of film.
I thought this was some kind of adult film.
Did someone come and mend the photocopier?
I've got a large wrench. Because this man starts reaching into Chun-Li's trousers, and I thought, whoa, what's going on? What's going on here?
Is he hiding the sand or the chalk?
He's got like a little pill, and I thought, it's some kind of stimulant or drug, and he took something into his pants, and I thought, thank God for that. I thought I'd got the wrong film. What the hell?
You don't take, that's not how you take Viagra.
I think someone's just taped over my version of Bloodsport with something else. What the hell?
American asshole.
Stop it. So... It's not what I thought it was, and I thought, okay, right. And then they get into the ring, but they changed the ring itself.
It's got slopes on either side, but they still haven't... blood stains, that's what I learned from this film, is that they're going to have to replace all the... We've got the canvas for next year.
Yeah, next year, new canvas every year. Lovely.
Bloodsport 2, new canvas.
New canvas! Bleach sheets.
Bleach sheets. That's the income will be called. Bleach sheets 2.
Shiny and white. Yes.
Again, you've already mentioned kind of what he's going to cheat, but I don't like that in a way. And this happens in so many films particularly martial arts films where there's a final. That the better person would win because they're more honourable, but the other person cheats. It'd be nice if he hadn't cheated. And I'd like to think in real life he didn't cheat. But
I'm kind of puzzled why he cheated, because he's the champion. He thinks he's going to beat Frank. He knows he's fantastic because he's won and killed someone and he's rock hard and everyone's scared of him. And he's done that, probably to intimidate Frank. And yet, despite all of that, he's actually still scared of Frank, or he's just got a fallback of...
Maybe a fallback. And I don't know if it's because he learned from Tanaka, but then we don't know what Tanaka did. But I guess Dukes does start with the upper hand big time. His kicks are working. He's got the upper hand. The music changes, which is always a good sign. He does a big kick. He does a somersault. Really, at the start, he's giving him a bit of a beating.
Yeah.
He's totally got the upper hand before the sand, which makes or whatever it is, the ground up pill is thrown in his eyes. But the weird thing here, again, watching it again, is that we know that he can fight without being able to see.
Yes.
We established that. Very good foreshadowing. It was established early in the film. This man, I say that. He can definitely pour tea with a blindfold on. Stop her and block a punch.
It's true.
So we kind of knew that. But I put here, this is great acting because you genuinely think he can't see.
Is it? Is it great acting?
I think it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
So...
If you say so.
He's on the ground, takes a beating, and he can't get up. He gets kicked in the stomach a lot.
Ooh.
And then Lynn is going, "Get up, Frankie!" He's like the Adrian of this film in many ways. And the journalists and the MPs are in the background cheering him. And then he's screaming for ages. Now, while he was on his knees screaming, angry, Chun-Li, I think, could have walked over and just broken his neck.
Oh, I just flicked him in the ear. And then got, walked off.
It's on the same time scale as the flashback at the start and the bit on the bus. That he's just going, ages. It is a long time. It is a long time. And then he has time to have a flashback to all the training he's ever received.
Yes, including the tea, pouring the tea whilst not looking.
It's been quite funny at that moment that he then just started pouring tea in the ring.
Just puts on a blindfold and starts pouring tea.
So he stops a punch, just like he stopped Mr. Tanaka's punch at time.
It's a miracle.
Kicks Chung-Li, and where does he kick him? In the stomach, which we've already established is weak. You see,
it's weak in the stomach, remember?
Writing works. He throws some wild kicks. He jumps, he does a jumping split, and then he just basically kicks the shit out of him. Does a flying roundhouse, throws him on the floor, and he takes the band down. And even Forrest Whitaker is cheering.
Yeah, and you can see the reporter cheering in the background, and they're all cheering, and hey! And then he makes him submit. He doesn't kill him.
Exactly.
Makes him say the word. Makes him say submit, surrender. And he does.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to kill him, actually. I thought he wouldn't surrender, and then Frank would have to kill him. But he didn't, so, yeah.
And then he went to seal off his bromance at the end.
Yes.
By going to the hospital, anytime, any place, anywhere. You ever need me, I'll be there. And then Frank Deuce goes, you can be in the sequel, but I'm moving on. I'm going to do Time Cop. And then, hilariously, they keep the joke going because the military police are at the airport thinking he's a no-show, but somehow he's martial arted himself onto the plane already.
Oh, comedy! Ha ha!
And then there's a touch, and then she comes out and he salutes her because he's military, and then she does an honourable hand, fist, bow thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not called that.
That's going back into that other film again.
American asshole. And it ends then with some statistics.
Go on,
because the true story, is that from 1975 to 1980, Frank put up your Dukes, won 329 fights and was undefeated. The only person ever to retire undefeated from the Kumite.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, how much of that is true, I don't know, because there's
a question mark, isn't there?
Yeah, about whether or not it's actually real, whether or not Frank Dukes ever did any of that or not. No one's really sure. He just says, oh, yeah, it's true, and everyone else is kind of not sure about that, really.
Yeah, a secret, I suppose.
People are wondering if he made it up, is what they're kind of implying.
But again, then you've read articles that say kind of it may be true, so who knows? Who knows?
But, you know, for this film, it didn't really matter.
No, it would have worked if it wasn't a true story. It's not, it's a Rocky-esque tournament martial arts film.
Yeah.
You know, it's Enter the Dragon without the spy stuff.
Yeah, without Jackson, you know. The other Jackson.
Double Jackson. And no action, no Carl Weathers, no action Jackson.
Yeah.
So I've mocked this film a lot tonight with you. You brought out a side of me that I didn't know was there.
What, the kind of parody Benny Hill tongue-in-cheekness of it?
Yeah. I guess I've always known it was there, but I don't know. I went, well, you know, we've talked before, is that when everyone else was watching sci-fi, I was watching these martial arts films and taking them very seriously. So. You
definitely dug deeper into the well of martial arts films than I did. I watched some of them, but you seem to have scraped the barrel, gone through the bottom of the barrel, into the earth, and down 6 foot.
Until you've seen a film that stars Billy Blanks and Bolo Young and no one else. A film that stars Billy Blanks and Rowdy Piper and no one else, then you haven't lived. I was in France a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember what. In the pub, we were talking about Van Damme, and then someone asked me a question, I knew the answer, and it ended up being almost like Mastermind for about an hour, being asked questions, but not his work now, but his work from kind of 86 to about 96.
Okay, you need to go on Mastermind. Jean Claude Van Damme, 89 to 99.
They did say that, and I thought, yeah, but on the general knowledge, I'll be absolutely awful.
Well, you'd be alright. You'd get through on 30 points on Van Damme and 2 on general knowledge, you'll still win.
Maybe. You know? These talks. Remember the talk we talked about with Schwarzenegger, An Evening With?
Oh, God, they're expensive,
yeah. Van Damme one in Manchester. I might even...
Really?
Yeah. I was tempted, but...
How much is that going to set you back?
I'm not going. It's a lot of money. Hang on a second, where is it? An experience, Jean Claude Van Damme experience. Saturday the 21st November, so it's already happened.
Oh.
So it's too late. Black tie dinner, meet and greet. It doesn't tell you because it's already over, I think.
It would have been expensive, though.
A few £100.
Yeah, when they had the Arnold Schwarzenegger ones, they had gold, silver, bronze, and then they had kind of paper equivalent, and even the paper version was about 150 quid a ticket.
Yeah, I think the cheapest was a couple of hundred.
Yeah, that is, you're behind a pillar at the very back of the room, you can't even see the screen. 150 quid. That's kind of what it was, because they had to get an awful lot of money to, 1, pay for the venue, and 2, cover his costs. So they'd done Al Pacino. I think Schwarzenegger said next time he'd bring Stallone with him.
Okay.
But I don't see that ever happening, because the price for a ticket then would be insane for the two of them.
Yeah, because Stallone's signature apparently is enough.
Yeah, so anyway.
Enough with the yakety-yak. What is your score?
Are we ready to give it a score?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think you should go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, it's been a while since I've seen this film. I'd forgotten some bits. I'd forgotten about Jackson not dying. I thought, it's going to be the Apollo Creed thing. He's going to die, and there's going to be more motivation to hate Chung-Li and blah, 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 and the rest of it. And I'd forgotten about Paco and his annoying hands. I'd forgotten about Hussein and the coin trick and all this stuff. So it was more, maybe it's just because I'm older now. Maybe it's just that when we saw them when we were, 12, 13, 14, we thought it was the coolest thing ever. And the martial arts, I can still be impressed by them and by the technique and by the skill. But just some of the other bits of the film just made me laugh for all the wrong reasons, like the police chase and how incompetent and bumbling they were throughout the whole thing. It's definitely, the score is a lot less than it would have been when I was, 15 or 16.
Mm.
It was okay, but it wasn't great. That's all I can say, really. So, we don't do half bags, remember?
No, we don't.
This may sound harsh, but I'm actually only going to give it 2 bags.
Okay.
I'd give it 2.5. but we can't do that. It's not quite a 3-bagger.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So 2 bags for me, I'm afraid, Pete.
Oh. Okay. So I hope
5 bags.
I hope you've all enjoyed the last ever bags of action.
Go on.
Okay. So. I don't know what to do.
Go with your heart, Pete.
Okay.
You got the touch.
You definitely will end this podcast. Okay, so there was a time when I probably would have tried to save up for a 6th bag to give this film when I was a young teenager, because as I say, I watched it a lot. I don't know every word to it anymore, but I know quite a lot of I'd say the 3 films I know the most dialogue of are Predator, Bloodsport and Kickboxer. I don't like whispering. Frightening me. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I've got to be realistic, and I've got to take into account the other films I've seen, but I've also got to allow for the fact that, we wouldn't be doing this show if I hadn't seen this film, and that wasn't what got me into kind of more action-y stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a very solid 4 bags.
Ooh. Okay.
Last night I'd written down 5.
I've talked you out of a bag.
Did you know that Frank Dux was Jean Claude Van Damme's special trainer during this film?
Really?
And one of the other boys that broke into the house was the guy who played Robin Hood in Maid Marian and His Merry Men.
I did not.
Bizarre.
I mean, I was thinking about other 3-bag films and thought, is it on par with them? And I don't think it was. I think it was just okay. So that's why I had to give it 2.
I think I've got a soft spot for it, but I think that the incidental characters all doing something. There's the humour. I actually give it more for. But I think if you compare it to other kind of not straight to video, but that kind of thing, the story makes sense. It takes you in the right direction. It does the things you'd expect a much bigger budget, much more showy film to do from that perspective. But but there are some extreme cheese. But it was 1988.
It's true.
Everything was cheese.
This is true.
So, I'm going to say 4.
Okay.
And wonder now if Kickboxer would be what that would get if I saw that again.
I don't know. So, that brings us to what could have been the last ever episode.
Nearly, it was very close.
Nearly, of Bags of Action, but it's not. So we'll be back. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.